Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Welcome. You're listening to Guiding Stars. This is your host, Kristen Fontana, and I'm here with my colleague and compatriot, Rose Marcus. Welcome back, Rose.
Thank you, Kristen.
We are discussing the transits for December 2021. We've just been cruising through this year, speeding through this year, and we are just letting you know, recording this the day before the full moon eclipse on the 19th. But we are discussing the remainder of November and into December. So, wow. And actually, prior to this eclipse, we had, and we have, Mars and Uranus opposing each other. So it's already felt ecliptic, hasn't it?
Oh,
this
goodness,
week.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to announce before we jump in?
I will be doing a lecture on I think it's the 9th of December. It's a Thursday, 9th of December, for the Washington Astrology Guild, and that's an online event, and I'm going to be talking about the stars in 2022. So if you're a member of the Washington State Astrological Society, please attend, and if not, think about joining. And I will be teaching a course starting in January, and if you want to find out more about that, check out my website or make contact with me directly.
Sounds wonderful. Yeah. I realized I called you a compatriot and we're in different countries. But you are a colleague.
We're soul sisters, and we're always going to be that.
Yeah, we're the same tribe vibe.
Yes.
So that's really a better way to say it, and that just sounds more like me. So, none of this formal business. Okay, so sounds great. There's always so much going on every month, and Rose writes an incredible monthly forecast, so I highly recommend that if you haven't checked it out on her website. I write a weekly forecast, and so we've got the ground covered, and we are going to trying to fill in more of what we haven't been able to share in words. And plus, there's something about coming together with a friend and someone who's just in love with the same work, and it just stimulates more insight. So we love sharing those with you all. All right. So like I said, we are starting this forecast month with a charge, and it is Mars is opposing Uranus, so it's been activating a lot of changes for people, sudden changes, unexpected changes, and so it just leads us into eclipse season, just par for the course. But this first eclipse on the 19th early in the morning, which we won't talk a lot about because by the time you listen to this it will be over, but it is a partial lunar eclipse, right, Rose?
Mm-hmm. And, despite the fact that it's a partial lunar eclipse, this one has been really, really potent. And let me just kind of remind listeners out there and anyone who hasn't been listening to Canadian news anyway, British Columbia has been pummeled with a flood crises. It's basically wiped out several cities, have been evacuated, and it has destroyed a number of the roads that are essential to getting goods and services transported, and the flooding has taken place over really prime agricultural land. Thousands of animals have perished in this flood. Oh yeah, it's been horrendous. It's been shocking. So far, there has only been one fatality recorded, but they're still working on pulling people out of the mudslides and debris.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's been really quite an amazing period of time. They called it a river of I don't know, a river of rain or so. I forgot the exact terminology on that, but it's just as you were saying, it's sudden. That Mars Uranus, completely, reinventing existing reality for so many. I mean, people have lost their homes and lost their livelihoods, and and all. I mean, it's just been horrendous. It's been all over the news and so forth. And I wanted to say that Mars Uranus opposition. Uranus is in and of course the eclipse is in Taurus, and Uranus is in Taurus, and that punches up the energy, or punches up the influence of Venus, which is the ruling planet of Taurus. Taurus is a survival archetype, and right now Venus is traveling in what we call out of bounds, and out of bounds is the way the planet is. The planet's rays are hitting the Earth, basically, and when a planet is above or below the tropics of Cancer or Capricorn, then we have an out-of-bound position. So Venus is out of bounds, which makes it particularly dynamic. And Taurus is an archetype of survival, right? Survival things at an emotional level, at a material level, at a physical level. It's kind of like the whole 9 yards, right? This event, and the point to make that I also wanted to make is that this whole flooding event has taken place in the days prior to that eclipse on the 19th of November. And eclipses are event generating, but not necessarily on the actual day that they happen. They can happen over a range of time. So we've already had this circumstance. So Mars has been opposition Uranus, and today, as we're recording this, Venus is trine Uranus. So it was pretty fascinating for me at the start of this whole flooding situation. The rain was horrendous coming down. I mean, you could hear it on the roof and so on. It was so bad. Taking the dog out in 3 seconds flat, and you're soaked to the bone. And the next day it was beautiful sunshine.
Wow, yeah, they're talking about extremes. The same thing happened here with wild winds and wild rain, and just branches dropping on the roof, and it is just
one extreme to the other.
Hitting the windows, that was completely horizontal at times. Things hitting the windows and just branches because they're just coming just all over the place. A tall tree. How does a tall tree hit a lower window? Things are just so.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. It's exactly here as well too, right? So never underestimate the potency of an eclipse, even though it's partial. It's not a full. Partial eclipse. When partial eclipses for students of astrology, when you look at the sun-moon position relative to the nodes, there's a wide orb on them. The closer the sun and moon get to a conjunction with either the north or south node, the greater the totality of the eclipse, right? And an eclipse is always going to be effective if it is making direct contact on your chart. Otherwise, you may just witness it indirectly through circumstances and, what's going on in the world. Yeah. This one was particularly potent because of the out-of-bounds position of Venus, which continues.
Well, yeah. I mean, how do you read this, though? Because I'm also seeing, obviously Uranus is, Venus in Capricorn is trining exactly Uranus tomorrow. It is already there now. Yeah, so... there's always a way through. That's a trine tells me there's a way through. There's a potential for changing events that are going to benefit people too, because Venus is sextiling Mars.
Well, and This might be, I don't know, difficult to hear perhaps, but, in tragedy there's always, some gift, right? And I think right now people that are showing up for other people, that's the gift, right? And you recognizing that from here on in, you have to make every moment count, and you're not going to miss that opportunity to tell your loved one that you love them, or to hug your kids before you go out the door, or, whatever those things are, and those might be those are the learnings and lessons and the jewels of the moment, is to crack open the heart chakra, right?
Oh, it is such a softening. It creates such a softening, especially the survival dynamics in this way, when it doesn't matter who you are in the world and you have all experience the same thing. It doesn't matter how much you make or what your title is. Everybody becomes equal on that level when Mother Nature kicks into gear, and we realize that there's a lot. Well, of course, we know that our force is far larger and greater than ourselves, but it does become like a wake-up call. And I had a client email me pictures. She was in Beirut doing some work, and just some pictures of the streets. They've been through so much. The people there, and she was just saying, in spite of everything, how welcoming they were, is just like an incredible thing to experience, given all that they've been through. And it does. It softens. It invites. It's a perspective changer. And so, there's extremes happening all over the world, and everything is relative. And I've said this before, and I will say it again. Coming from somebody who I know that lost everything. And she said, I just am always reminded that there's going to be someone worse off than me and someone better off than me all the time. Right. And so it's like it just becomes this perspective changer. And so the Venus turning the Neptune Venus has to do with what we value most. And I think if somebody's living in a way where they're very in alignment with what is really most meaningful, and that versus someone who's just chasing the dollar all the time, right? If someone chasing the dollar all the time, or the material reality, might get hit a little harder under these circumstances. Somebody who's really got their priorities in place, which is so much a Venus and Capricorn thing. Deep, your priorities, which is, time with the ones you love, or just focusing on something that you feel like is helping the planet, et cetera, et cetera. I definitely feel like with so much in Scorpio, this is like a karma correction time too. Like if you're just barking up the wrong tree, or chasing the wrong thing, it's going to be it will be a yank in one way or another, a yank of the soul.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, not to scare people. I don't feel like anybody needs to be worried in that way. It's just about trusting that your soul is calling in whatever you need, whatever is necessary in order to, get a move on, really. So ultimately it will benefit you.
And I think on the larger, bigger scale, as these really big events take place, I think it is very galvanizing for us to really put forward more climate change initiatives, right? For you to say, well, okay, I've got to do my part here somehow, and that's a positive as well too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that especially looking with Uranus and Taurus, and we've all this whole year it's been squaring Saturn and Aquarius. There's been a lot of wild environmental things that have happened and will continue to happen until, the planet really pays attention or does something. Obviously that time frame is narrowing in terms of things that can be reversed, right? And in terms of the environment, some things cannot be anymore, but they can be slowed down, but there's still things that can be reversed. There's two movies I'm thinking of. One of them that I highly recommend is called Kiss the Ground, which is Woody Harrelson is the narrator in it, but it's teaching us a lot about what's happening on the planet, and in many ways what we can do about it. So I highly recommend that. And there's another one, it's about the water issues on the planet that Matt Damon's very involved in, and I'm blanking on the name, but I will get the name of the movie. It's a wonderful movie that is educating us on the water issues in the planet, but also what he's doing to try and help third world countries get clean water, and really educating people on that. But I enjoyed both of them very much. So I just wanted to share that.
Excellent.
All right, so on a personal note, we're in between eclipses when you're listening to this right now, all of you. And so when we're in between two eclipses, which is November 19th and December 4th, we have a very sensitive 2-week window where the energy is very malleable. Some people say they can experience the other side more intimately. They can have dreams and visions. They just feel like even piercing the veil. I've heard that. People talk about that before, having breakthroughs in meditations they've never had before, because it's almost like there is really the filter is thin, right? And I think it does depend on how conscious you are, how much you're energizing, really more of your own growth or any kind of spiritual pursuits in that way. If you are, deeply diving into those activities and spaces, then I think you could really have a real breakthrough at this time. Otherwise, anything goes in the next 2 weeks. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, and from an astrological perspective, eclipses are relative to the nodal axis, right? So,
right.
And the nodes are going to bring up content from your past, and they also are resources for your evolutionary forward. So for you to have insights or, downloads or recognitions of any kind certainly makes sense from the fact that, those north and south nodes are being unlocked, right? So that makes perfect sense. And I might suggest that you stay alert during the time around eclipses and to watch what's happening out there in the world and what's happening within you as well too, and it all provides clues. Eclipses are accelerating patterns, right? Anytime you have a transit over the north or south nodes, it's a time of acceleration for evolutionary development, whatever that might be, right? And we are right now, by the way, speaking of the nodes, the transiting nodes are an 18-month transit across a sign axis. We are just finishing up with the south node in Sagittarius and the north node in Gemini. And those nodes will do a sign switch in about the middle of January. The south node is going to move into Scorpio, and the north node will move into Taurus, and that will extend over the next 18 months. So this lunar eclipse, so then, over an 18-month period, eclipses are going to run along that sign axis, whatever they are. So we have our first taster with this lunar eclipse on the 19th being in Taurus Scorpio. Starting in 2022 and through 2023, all the eclipses are going to be along the Taurus Scorpio path, right? So, and again, Taurus Scorpio, it's the survival axis, right? And anytime we have Scorpio transits, we are going to have an acceleration of evolution at some point. That's drilling deeper, uncovering more, right?
Exactly. I love what we haven't brought up. I think we talked about it last time, but Pluto, which rules Scorpio, of course, is forming a trine to this full moon eclipse.
Yeah.
And so, that is an empowering transit or aspect. And so, of course, it depends on how is it lining up in your chart and all of that. But, this is about the deeper content, right? This is about your own personal journey and how you can kind of pull yourself up by your own inner bootstraps or kind of dig in take a feel around, a look around, and it's all an energy around kind of depending on yourself, becoming more strong in yourself or whole into yourself. Because in essence, the more work we do on ourselves and the more we evolve, it does change the way that we attract or magnetize things to us. And you can get immediate results when you start making those changes. You start unwrapping those layers of resistance that are keeping you away from what you want, or that don't allow the world to recognize your essence or your actual vibration, your actual signal. And so I do feel like because the eclipses are so emotional, there's so much sensitivity around it, they can be make us feel very vulnerable. That does allow more of who you are and your energy to be emitted. And so that's what we want ultimately. But yes, Pluto is powerfully trining the moon, and the moon is part of the water trinity as it's ruling the sign of Cancer. Pluto rules Scorpio. So, what I always tell people if they're feeling challenged by life, and oh my gosh, have I gotten emails recently with just people feeling down in the dumps or stressed about this or that, is like, grab a hold of some of these outer planets that, they're not like fast movers that are going to, kind of be this light and passing thing, to something that can help you change your life forever. Forever. Not just today, but forever.
Absolutely. And, Pluto, Capricorn is a cementing process. And, we have this eclipse that we've been talking about in Taurus and Taurus Scorpio. That is a feel your way along. And despite the fact that there's acceleration going, it is also giving you time to acclimatize to that which is cementing within you.
I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot to talk about. I heard the station break.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back after the break.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Okay, you're stressed. You need a little R&R. Wouldn't going to a spa help? There's all kinds of spas, too. Destination spas, medical spas, day spas, even dental and mobile spas. Where do you find the right spa at the right price? Oh, no, more stress? Well, not anymore. Visit spafinders.com. At spafinders.com, you'll find everything you need to know about spas from around the world. So de-stress. Click on spafinders.com right on our homepage. I'm feeling relaxed already.
What would happen if you didn't follow the established path? Would you feel scared or proud? Could you explain that helping the people of Peru improve their own community would also have an effect on your own? Would you rather make your own way or spend a lifetime saying, what if? Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps. To find out more, call 1-800-424-8580 or go to peacecorps.gov.
Water. In the hot summer sun, water is a natural thought, like relaxing at the beach with the waves lapping at your feet, or perhaps being with your significant other under a secluded, gently cascading waterfall. If you want a little more action, how about water skiing or boating on an icy, clear blue lake? With Expedia.com, everything you need for travel, flights, hotels, cruises, vacation packages, they have it all at a price you can afford. Go to HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Expedia.com.
I'm William Shatner, and this is Jimmy. Animals like Jimmy are often left behind by people fleeing hurricanes, fires, floods, and earthquakes. These abandoned animals cannot survive on their own. If you must evacuate your home, please never leave an animal behind. If you absolutely cannot take your animal with you, never leave him helplessly chained or caged. Many animals die because they cannot escape fires or rising waters. Animals need your help. Thank you.
Call PETA today, 757-622-PETA.
HealthyLife.net. the Positive Radio Network.
All right, we are back. I'm here with Rose Marcus from Vancouver, Canada. Wow, water, water, water. Talk a little bit about what's going on up there. Spilling into Washington as well. Just sending some prayers out to all those people. The water movie that Matt Damon did, this documentary is called Brave Blue World. Brave Blue World. He's the co-founder of water.org. I love that. Kiss the Ground and Brave Blue World. Those are great titles. And great movies, documentaries. So anyway, another thing I wanted to share was right before the break you were talking about, and I love this, how the Taurus element within this eclipse, the full moon, the Venus in Capricorn trining Uranus, and Taurus and the Pluto transit trining also. Venus was trining Uranus and Pluto's trining this full moon. And remember that this energizes the next 6 months of your life. I mean, we're talking about something, by the time you listen to this, has already happened probably by a week. But this eclipse whole window, this whole 2-week window, is reflecting events that will be ongoing in your life for the next 6 months till the next pair of eclipses arrive. But one of the things you had said is it allows you to move with the changes slowly. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Well, I've been rereading the autobiography of a yogi by Yogananda, which is just incredible. I read like a couple pages at a time, and I'm always thinking about everything I've read for 24 hours till I get the next. Maybe it's a paragraph even. But he's on this search. He's really wanting to go to the Himalayas to meditate, and he's looking for a particular saint. And he's asking him if he would to grant him with that spiritual magnetism, or to convey this divine contract, is what he said, but essentially to experience samadhi. And this saint says, your body is not tuned just yet. As a small lamp bulb would be shattered by excessive electrical voltage, so your nerves are unready for the cosmic current. If I gave you the infinite ecstasy right now, you would burn as though every cell were on fire. Oof.
Wow.
So I thought that was so powerful, because if you think about anyone meditating in efforts to activate Kundalini, etc., anybody who's experienced any of that knows, like, it literally, what Kundalini does is it activates the cells, and all the toxins that are in your cells will spill into the bloodstream, and it literally can make you feel sick because of anything that you've been repressing or holding or collecting. But in this context, of course, with Yogananda, and he's an advanced stage of evolution in this lifetime that I'm reading about, even at that, there's a tremendous amount of preparation that's involved. And so with your sharing about this particular transit occurring, and that, maybe something isn't going to, maybe you're not used to something now, or there's something that you're working towards or growing towards. It's going to take a commitment, which is the Capricorn piece. It's going to take something that you are ready to sustain, staying determined with it, discipline. These are all Capricorn words. So there are things in our life that we may need to prepare for over time, like an athlete preparing for an event. You just don't go out there and become Superman or Superwoman on day one. You've got to put in the time. You've got to put in the hours, the exercise, the commitment to whatever it is that you're preparing for. So thank you, Rose. I just loved what you said. So nobody be in a rush if there's something that you're really after.
Absolutely, and in an actuality that kind of leads into talking about Venus moving through the sign of Capricorn and turning retrograde in December. So Venus will be retrograde from the 19th of December through January 29. And as it does so, it is going to be aligning with Pluto by conjunction. It'll do that on December 11, and guess what? Christmas Day. be retrograde through the end of January. Now, Venus is usually a fast mover, but because of this retrograde, it is going to stay in the sign of Capricorn all the way through the beginning of March. And as of the middle of January, Mars will move into Capricorn as well, too. So by the time Venus leaves the sign of Capricorn, it will make its final conjunction with Pluto, and that will be March 3rd. And right around that time as well, too, Mars will be joining the duo. So just what you were saying about taking time, Capricorn is the archetype of time. It's about coming to a ripe moment. It's coming to the maturity and the wisdom to, implement in some kind of real and tangible way. And we have all the way through until the beginning of March for that whole process, for that whole undertaking.
Right, so that's not even 6 months. Well, I was saying not that we have to wait for 6 months. It's that whole 6 month window, but that is really only about 3 months away when something could be really culminating for somebody, right? So we've got Venus, Mars, Pluto pretty much all conjunct early March, and then Venus and Mars move into a new phase together in Aquarius. Wow, that is such an interesting transition there. I can't even, oh my goodness, I can't wait to talk about that. At the time, it's just like, oh, hooah, so there's so much Venus and Capricorn stuff going on between now and early March, and then literally with Mars, it's not like Venus just crosses into Aquarius. She partners with Mars and does it. It's like, okay, talk about, hopefully some liberation in those landscapes you're traveling. I mean, set yourself free with that. Like, that is going to be big.
Well, you've got the relationship you have with your own soul, and then you've got, the Venus-Mars is, again, your relationship with yourself now and here, and with all the people in your life and all the things in your life as well, too, right? Venus in the sign of Capricorn and turning retrograde is giving you an extended period of time to work it out, to figure it out, to figure out what tools you need, what decisions you need to make, right? What assets you have that you can work with, right?
I mean, I just happened to pull up March 3rd, which was the actual Christmas, wasn't it? Or was it March 1st? I can't remember. But anyway, March 3rd. So Saturn and Mercury are also conjunct in Aquarius. Saturn rules the Capricorn piece. And the Sun and Jupiter are conjunct in Pisces, and Neptune and the Moon are conjunct in Pisces. Like, people just need to pull up that day and overlap it to your chart. Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, we need to talk about now. They're like, come on, it's still November, people.
Let's come back to December.
Okay, so before we move, we haven't talked about the new moon eclipse yet in Sag, but let's talk about Venus and Capricorn, Venus retrograde in Capricorn, and what that means. Of course, there's going to be a reevaluation of your values. You're maybe going to be changing some of your commitments. But you got 1 minute, Rose. Venus and Capricorn.
Capricorn's your priorities, and so we're going to be reassessing and reevaluating. That's what you do with Venus retrograde. When it comes to Capricorn, you're reassessing and reevaluating your reality and your priorities. What are your essential needs, and where are you placing your attention regarding time, heart, and money. All three of those.
Yeah, so there is a reorganization happening within your inner world, your inner relationship to yourself, perhaps, how you're spending time taking care of you. Are you carving out time to take care of you? Because we've got to take care of ourselves first before we can begin to take care of others. So maybe it's more of that. I like that message, frankly.
That Venus retrograde is so ideal during the Christmas period, too, starting on the 19th. Because, what we really, that holiday is really about stopping the world for a little while and putting your priority on loved ones and family and so forth, right? You know, so, that's a good message maybe to pull away from, and certainly what I said about Venus and Pluto retrograde on Christmas Day. This is a milestone holiday, a milestone, whether it is a completion or a new beginning for you. And if it's a new beginning for you, you may not really recognize the significance of that till you look back at some point later, right? You know, but in any case, Capricorn deals with traditions, and with Venus retrograde on Pluto on Christmas Day, it's a good time for you to think up some kind of new tradition for that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, we're going to move to a break. We have more to share after this.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Have you ever wondered why you are here on this planet and what the point to all of this is? Evolutionary astrology is a natural science that allows for an understanding of the evolutionary journey of the soul from life to life. Evolutionary astrology provides a vehicle to understand prior life dynamics that have led to the reason and purpose for the life you live. It offers a depth of information and insights about each person that no other type of astrology can provide. As Jeffrey Wolf Green, the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, says,
for those who wish to unveil the depth of who you actually are, I would highly recommend that you seek out qualified evolutionary astrologers such as Kristen Fontana and other graduated students of the School of Evolutionary Astrology. For those who are considering becoming an astrologer to make it a natural career, I'd recommend that you consider Jeffrey Wolf Green's School of Evolutionary Astrology, where it will assist you in answering and your clients answering a big question. Why am I here? Thanks for listening, and God bless.
Okay, you're stressed. You need a little R&R. Wouldn't going to a spa help? There's all kinds of spas, too. Destination spas, medical spas, day spas, even dental and mobile spas. Where do you find the right spa at the right price? Oh, no, more stress? Well, not anymore. Visit spafinders.com. At spafinders.com, you'll find everything you need to know about spas from around the world. So de-stress. Click on spafinders.com right on our homepage. I'm feeling relaxed already.
Whether you're taking a short trip or traveling across the world, Magellans.com is the world's most trusted source for travel, and they guarantee 100% satisfaction. They have everything you need to make travel just a bit more pleasurable. Who doesn't like that? They have travel alarms, clothing, the best luggage, wallets, everything you need except the ticket. Visit the advertiser page on HealthyLife.net and click on Magellans Now. You will not only see their travel products, but get a free catalog and read articles with tips on how to make your travel easier. Visit the advertiser page and click on Magellans Now.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
All right, we are back with Rose Marcus. RoseMarcus.com if you want a reading or to connect with her. And we're talking about changing those traditions potentially with those the Pluto-Venus retrograde, doing something different, doing something that can create a deeper bond, perhaps, right? Less stuff, more presence, more connection, conversation. How can you evolve the relationships that you're in? That's a good one.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about this eclipse on December 4th.
Oh, yeah. So there's just so much going on in the month of December. And so there is this total solar eclipse on December 4th. And listeners out there, that's Kristen Fontana's birthday.
Oh, my goodness.
So you have an eclipse on your birthday. And whenever you do have an eclipse on your birthday, it signals the year for significance. You know, it's an outstanding year for you. And I was looking at your chart earlier, and that eclipse falls in your 6th house, right? So perhaps a new trajectory for your work and, I don't know, you know, publishing and broadcasting and all of that kind of stuff. Maybe you got some things on the go?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I really, it's interesting. I just love this work so much, and it's so much of what I do involves the one-on-one with people, the readings, and of course, what we do together and all the webinars that we love to do to spread the work of EA. It's just such an honor. So I don't know. If I'm called to do more, I will answer that for sure. But I don't have anything. I think that's what the eclipse is about. Like, it's maybe something will catch me by surprise. And
well, that's certainly what happens, what always happens. And a solar eclipse is a new moon, right? You know, and
right, new beginning.
New beginning, right? And certainly in Sagittarius and in the 6th house, it will make your work flourish, of course.
Yeah.
You know, so that alone, but an eclipse, a solar eclipse particularly, unlocks about a 2 to 3 year cycle. We don't notice it, as you were saying, about 6 months, right? You know, you're going to feel the intensity over a 3 to 6 month period of that eclipse, or, you know, the kind of triggering of that at any time during that. After a while, it gets woven into everything else, so you don't really notice it, but it continues on for that long. It has a reverberation, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I really, one thing I really love about this eclipse for everybody is that, you know, of course Venus is balsamic to Pluto, and it's in Capricorn, and is sextiling Mars in Scorpio. I just love that pairing. Because I feel like this, for me at least, this has been a life of deconditioning. You know, I really was raised in a very traditional environment, and hiding within that environment, that was why I was there to begin with. My soul just has spent 20 years trying to come out of hiding. But it's been awesome because I've been able to help other people do the same, and really men and women, but I would say predominantly women, but certainly men too, because, you know, men are, you know, have had to repress a lot of natural things on their own journey, primarily emotions and being vulnerable. But anyway, it's been a life of deconditioning, and so and to just, you know, what I care most about is just for people to be true to themselves, and I want to feel that I am too, and to express our natures in full. That is, there's so much freedom in just being able to express who we are without filters, without apologizing for it. And it gives other people permission to do the same. And so just by being you don't even have to say a word. So the Mars and Venus pairing here, with Mars and Scorpio being ruled by that Pluto, I just feel like it is such an empowering aspect for breaking the mold of old and just feeling courageous in your pursuits to do that. And so anyway, that's what I wish for everybody, just to be able to be impeccably honest with yourself, to make choices that feel like they really water the root at its, you know, at the very core of who you are. Just really water the soil, you know, to really kind of give it new life. That is my prayer for everybody this year. So.
Oh, that's very lovely. And just in general, Sagittarius is the archetype of the future, right? You know. Yeah. So that solar eclipse really can unlock or introduce you to your kind of future course in some way. Mercury is very close to the eclipse, just a couple of degrees out, and Mercury always brings up the idea of key events, key people, and so forth, you know, key messages. Sagittarius is intuitive, and it's about your beliefs and your envisioning, all of that kind of stuff. And so, you know, it may be that you do get some kind of envisioning or some kind of intuitive hit on things, or some kind of inner message, or, you know, somebody shows up. It can be all of that kind of stuff taking place with a solar eclipse. And the other thing that's interesting with this is that Mars is 23 degrees Scorpio, and it's forming a last quarter square to Jupiter, which is in the sign of Aquarius. A last quarter square, has an outer, it has two levels. It's the outer reality that's already built up, but underneath that, something else is getting launched or seeded at this time, right? And Mars is in Scorpio, bringing up Pluto, and Jupiter in Aquarius, bringing up the Uranus transit that has been so triggered as of late. So it is a suggestion of moving in a new direction, new downloads. It's a new kind of format that is in a developmental track right now, and it's important then to give space or give room, and this is just in general for everyone, give space or give room to allow for that to reveal itself. A last quarter is that sense of, I don't want to keep doing it the old way. I want to move it to a new level. I want to move it in a new direction, but I just don't quite know. It hasn't really defined itself as of yet. And again, there's an importance then with that kind of transit to give room for it to reveal itself. And giving room is by creating some peaceful moments for yourself, some moments that are spending some time alone, right? Spending time in sanctuary, so that you can listen to the urgings of your soul.
I love that. It's a vibration-raising aspect for sure, and kind of getting you in touch with how you can do that. Like in Jupiter, so much about the truths that, the teachings that ring true for you, whatever they are. Like, there's many paths to the one. There's many paths to the source, and so what is your natural path there? Maybe you stumble upon some teachings or philosophies or metaphysical things that just really vibrate with, just harmonize with who you are, and you really glean so much from what you're learning or discovering. And maybe there's a teacher that you connect with that helps you expand your consciousness in some way, or helping you help yourself in that way. So, expansive energy, and Jupiter does say, that if you want to grow and your cup is overflowing with content, you've got to empty some of that cup. If you really want to maximize the experience of this transit and kind of get rid of the stuff you don't want, do that. Just get rid of it. If it's a undermining thought, a doubt, a fear, just get rid of it. Just clear out some space so Jupiter can come in and show you something new and illuminate your path to a greater degree. So, all right, we're going to move to a break. One more section here. Can't believe we just breezed through this so fast, but we'll be right back.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
If you're like the 8 out of 10 women that say finding jeans that fit is a problem, well, your problem is solved. Lee Jeans has done extensive research, and they have jeans that fit. There's even an online Lee Fit Finder, so you can find the right fit for you. Imagine jeans that instantly slim you with a custom fit and no gap waistband. And guys, kids, Lee has jeans for you too. Click through to Lee's Jeans on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and get what fits.
Take one step towards spirit. Spirit will take 1,000 steps toward you. Come explore the world of evolutionary astrology with Rose Marcus. Rose Marcus is well known for her heartfelt passion, sensitive counseling skills, and dedication to helping others. You can now study evolutionary astrology from the comfort of your own home through live teleconference classes with Rose. To register for the next Evolutionary Astrology School, To read your in-depth monthly horoscope or to book a private astrology with Rose Marcus, please visit her website, www.rosemarcus.com.
Oh, man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget, take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
In college, I took a lot of history and liberal arts classes, and frankly, I don't remember much of any of it. But as an adult, I find myself engrossed in fascinating programs on the A&E and History Channel. They've pretty much helped me to be pretty impressive at social functions, and I just found out today that I can purchase DVDs of my favorite A&E and History Channel programs right through HealthyLife.net. You should visit HealthyLife.net and order your favorite A&E and History Channel program DVDs as well, and then discover how many people you can impress during your next social occasion.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, we've returned here with Rose Marcus, and we are discussing the transits for end of November, December, and so much of the theme, I would say, on the heels of that last segment, it is about just changing anything that's become crystallized in your life, right? This, whether it's a deconditioning or just the jackhammer to cement phenomenon. Like, I don't want to carry that anymore. And so, Rose, on the break, we were talking about the third of three transits that reflect this in spades. So let's talk about that Saturn-Uranus.
Yeah, and let me just make one quick mention before we go there as well, too. I'm quite fond of working with the planetary body Sedna. And she's, out there in the frozen regions of our Milky Way, of our solar system. But the point is, she sits at 28 degrees Taurus. And that Mars-Jupiter transit that we were just talking about, Mars is going to oppose Sedna and Jupiter is going to square it. That's an unlocking or unblocking or unfreezing aspect here. So, whatever it is that's been held in that frozen content gets released. And that adds a little extra flavor to the solar eclipse that we were just talking about. So, we're set up to have these breakthroughs and these, this information coming in. And one last thing about the solar eclipse, at the very least, of course, it is Sagittarius is about, the holidays and so forth, and what it means to you and how different it will be this year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have the last of the Saturn-Uranus squares, which will happen on, what date is that coming up? Here I have it, the 23rd, just before, and so, right around the Christmas time. And that Saturn's been in the sign of Aquarius, Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus, and they have, this is the last of three conjunctions that have spanned the majority of the year. And I have called this transit traveling with the brakes on, right? Saturn represents the past. It's in the sign of Aquarius. It's like taking a jackhammer on the past. And Uranus in Taurus, that is reinventing the nature of everything that we value and, everything that we find that has meaning and purpose for us. And those two, it's a whole reinvention on reality. But it's been quite choppy this year, right? And we've been quite held up, and there's been COVID, and there's been, it's been very, very hard to move forward. As of the 23rd, finally, Saturn surpasses that square. And I think that that's totally brilliant. Now, just as Saturn surpasses the square, we end up with Venus retrograde. But that's okay. I think we need to take some time to acclimatize with that. That aspect will help. I know so many people have been so frustrated with not being able to move forward in whatever way has been so very important for them. This Saturn-Uranus transit is going to be helpful in that regard.
Oh, yeah. If you look back on the year, it looks like around the middle of February to the end of February, end of June, and then around Christmas, this Saturn-Uranus square was happening. So there could be events that are linked within those 3 months, and of course it could be linked with some of the restrictions being lifted, right, relative to COVID, hopefully. Maybe they won't be lifted under the Venus retrograde. Maybe it sends you back into some more of those restrictions for a little while longer, because it's the winter months, at least in the northern hemisphere, which becomes more problematic for the COVID piece. But we'll see what that's about. But for sure by March, right? There goes March again. Be feeling a lot different than you do today. So there's a kind of a global understanding of that aspect, and then there's a personal understanding of it.
Absolutely. And, Saturn, Pluto also represent social politics as well, too, and will be moving forward with a lot of those different things. Now, Saturn's a faster mover than Uranus. Uranus is still retrograde until January, and Saturn ended its retrograde last month, and it's moving forward. We'll have a very close meeting of Saturn and Uranus in October of next year, but they will not perfect. So they will still, we still have Saturn in Aquarius through until March of 2023, and that's social distancing and so forth. But we are working our way through a very important time frame on the planet, and I know that every single one who's listening right now thinks that they're moving through a very important time in personal life journey too.
Absolutely. Okay, so you know me. I always have to, end on a high. I want to start on a high, just like sad style. But we talked about this briefly last month, but I want to bring it back again right now because it's occurring between these two eclipses. Transiting Mars while it is opposing Uranus while we are talking, it is moving into a trine. Mars in Scorpio is moving into a trine to Neptune, the end of the Thanksgiving weekend here. And so that is Sunday, November 28th, 29th. That's Monday, Tuesday, that little window. Right at that time, we also have Neptune, which rules Pisces, stationing direct on the 30th.
Yeah, 1st of December. Yeah.
1st of December.
Yeah, early.
30th, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
And so right around that time, it is slowing down to stop. Consider its station under the Mars-Neptune trine. What I would say about that is that, just as you move forward in space, as you make choices that you feel will benefit your journey, will benefit your soul, will benefit your evolution, even if they're choices that are uncomfortable, that trine to Neptune is just like a heavenly helper. It's a magical influence of energy, and I don't want to sound Pollyanna about this because I'm really not, but it can feel like there are, as you make certain courageous steps or make courageous efforts, I do feel like there will feel to be an invisible force that really kind of lifts you up and supports you, as you go. So I definitely can also see that as sort of an answered prayer energy, or just feeling that invisible grace or support that you need. And maybe it will even lighten some of the Scorpio energy and make you feel more connected, to this journey and to that eternal pulse of life. So I look forward to that particular aspect, and I feel like for those who energize it, will be able to materialize more, and those who energize it will be able to experience more. So.
Well, I definitely think that the entire month of December is set up to support you on your evolutionary journey, and that there's lots of planetary energies that can help take you forward and take you out of whatever stalemate you might be in, or whatever resistant factor you might feel in terms of doing what must be done, doing what's necessary, and a lot of it as well, too, there's natural moving forward. as we've got in wrap up here, Chiron finishes retrograde on the 19th, and on the 20th there's a lovely Mercury Uranus trine as well too. So, and the last few days of the month have some good Mercury moving forward as well too. So, you have lots of opportunity in the month ahead to get yourself realigned and get yourself strapped in for the next stage of the journey.
Awesome. All right, sounds good to me. And we'll be back for a big end-of-the-year gathering here to usher you into 2022. Until next time, well, actually, happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the U.S., and we'll connect with you before the holidays. Namaste.